Okay, let's explore the Jungle Book palette by the Beauty Bay today. And since we're talking about the jungle, I need to show you a ferocious animal that I have here, aside from these. And here he is. Now we can go on. So the Jungle Book palette was obviously inspired by the Jungle Book movie. And did I film this palette when it was brand new? Of course I did! Like, the interesting thing about this palette is that I would call it a pastel grungy palette, if that makes sense, because honestly half of the colors here are pastel. These are the greens, the chartreuse, and also this forest green, and this is also this lighter periwinkle, and three colors are actually grungy. This is the dark periwinkle, like a dark purple, maybe a little more blue than purple, then also a slightly grungy pink, and also this dark greenish brown, which I think lets you create really interesting looks. Let me do some swatches on my hand, on the back of my hand without a primer, because with a primer you will see it on my eyes in the tutorial coming up. So this way. I only have 5 fingers, as most people do. Well, basically on my fingertips they kind of look like they would look with a primer, so a bit more pigmented. Without a primer they will be less pigmented, but that's always the case. Let's go with the greens. There's also the brown, which is also on, oops, also on the bottom row. And then the top row would be the periwinkle, the grungy pink, and the grungy periwinkle. Honestly, they're pretty pigmented even without a primer. For the mattes without a primer, that's quite impressive, I must say. Now let me show you a quick tutorial for this eye look, and then I will tell you how good or how bad this palette is and if it is worth having. Let's start with the bright periwinkle color and a small eyeshadow brush. Outline the V in the outer corner of the eye, and then start doing the tapping movements with the brush, packing the eyeshadow onto the primer. I always have the primer on my lids, I always do. It's just transparent. Better use a primer, and then with the same brush, having wiped it off a clean tissue or with a clean eyeshadow brush, blend this V slightly on top. After that, let's go to the grass green color, or should we call it forest green maybe. As you can see, it is super pigmented too. It blends well with the previous color, and also let's blend it slightly on top. And go on to the chartreuse, yellow green, lime green color, whatever you want to call it. And let's do the inner portion of the eye, and once again blend it slightly. Now, let's add some pink on top of the periwinkle blend. Not that the blend was bad, but let's just make it look more colorful. Why not? For the same reason, let's add some periwinkle on top of the grass green. And now, let's go to the dark color, the darker purple, and I'm trying to pack it on top of the periwinkle. And as you can see, the colors are not building very well on top of each other, so they adhere to the primer much better. But after a few passes I have the desired effect, and now we can go to the ombre eyeliner. The pencils glide smoothly on top of the eyeshadow, no problem here. I'm using the blue, the purple, and the pink. I suggest using this combo to get a more colorful look if you want to spice it up a little. And for the mascara you can use a darker forest green. And then for the lower lid, use a grungy pink again, on almost all of the lid, excluding the outer corner where you leave room for a little bit of brown to accentuate the outer corner and also to use all the shadows in the palette. For the waterline, I used the NYX Epic Smoke liner, on which I have a whole review. And this is just one of the looks that you can do using all the colors of the palette. Honestly, this was pretty quick and effortless. That's how the eye makeup was created. For the lip makeup, see my YouTube Shorts tutorial for this look. So about the quality of the palette, would I recommend it? Honestly, yes, I would. Why? Because it is pretty unique. I think the colors are really unusual. Well, maybe, you know, the brown. Okay, the brown is pretty typical, but the rest, I have something similar to the chartreuse, to the lime green. I maybe have something kind of similar to this green, but all the top row, honestly, is pretty unique, and my eyeshadow collection is not small. You've probably seen my video about the eyeshadow brands that last on oily lids. And speaking of that, how well does this thing last on the oily lids? On my super duper oily lids, I tested another beautybay palette, the Utopia one, also with matte eyeshadows on a primer, of course, and it started creasing after about 7.5 hours. So if you want to wear this from dawn till dusk, apply it before work, you know, work for the whole day, then have some drinks with friends after work and all that with super oily lids, no, it won't work. Most likely it won't. However, if you are having a night out, if you're going out for dinner, if you're going to a small party, or if you're maybe wearing your palette to the grocery store, because why the heck not, right? I think it will work just fine, and the price is really not elevated, so you get to try a lot of colors. I mean, 6 is of course not a lot, but I'm speaking of beautybay palettes in general. You get to try colors, you know, for a cheaper price. Than if you're absolutely going crazy about some color, you can acquire it from another brand that lasts longer. However, for the time being, you can play, you can do some looks. Yes, they won't last for the whole day in a row, but if you also wear makeup for like 5, 6, 7 hours, I think this will really work for you. And with that being said, please check out my other reviews in this playlist. See you there! Bye! Thanks for watching!